Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. This time we are doing a tour of my initial long-term single player world. Now this one's going to be a little different. It's not going to be as detailed as my 1.15 Forever world that I am still currently playing on. And also this one is not a complete world. So I started this world I want to say in 2017 around like a 1.11.4 update, and it ran all the way through 1.16, clear through 2020. The problem is my computer had a catastrophic failure, and so I wasn't able to really save anything off of that. So I was not able to save the most up-to-date version of this world. This backup is from 1.12.2 and I believe was backed up in 2018. So it has still a fair amount of progress. You can see it's logged nearly 2,000 days, but it's still not complete. There are builds that I did that aren't here anymore, projects that are incomplete that were complete, but regardless, I still wanted to give a tour both for me and just for everyone else. So as I said, this one is 1.12.2, and so let's get into it. So I spawned in this general area. It's pretty boring, I do have to say. I don't even think in later versions I really made any significant changes to it. But I started off here, and I just built into the wall and just had a few chests and stuff. The main thing that I had, though, was here. And this is when AFK fishers were a lot bulkier than they are now. Um, but I remember distinctly spending having my computer run overnight several times to AFK fish, and I've obviously brought all the stuff out, but you can see just by the number of chests here how much I was AFK fishing. Also had a little nano farm here, and then my first nether portal was back here. Really quickly, I want to I think it's going to be in controls. The sensitivity is very different between these versions. That feels a lot better. So yeah, it's just a very simple, humble starter area. And then we had the mining section down here. Also had some crops right along the river there. Um, Again, we're in the spawn chunks, and so similar to my 1.15 world, I built an iron farm here. Now, this is one of those really old iron farm designs where doors, because this is 1.12, so doors were the key contributor, as you can see on the sides here, rather than number of beds or anything like that. And if I can take off, there's a lot of mechanics that are different in this version compared to even 1.15. So, but yeah, you can see it looks like it was a double-decker farm, and you can hear the villagers. You can see all of them down in there. There were quite a few that you needed for this kind of farm. But yeah, just a simple iron farm and not too much to show here. I didn't really develop the spawn area here, even in like the 1.15 or 1.16 when this world was in its prime. I didn't really develop this area all that much. I do remember, though, over here later on, I had built a slime farm, and this was at the time where you needed to like dig down the whole chunk, and so that was a huge task and didn't even really need all that much slime, but I just remember doing it because I needed something to do. This village isn't really too symbolic. It's just the fact that, I've got a water village here. You can see I've looted it a little bit, and, this is the old version of the village. I just remember flying over this a bunch, and so just kind of wanted to show it off here. Like I said, flying is going to be a little more difficult in this version, but it's fine. We're actually going to go ahead now and head to my main base, which is in a jungle biome. And so I'm going to get to a certain point, and then I'm going to actually get in a boat. So let's head on, start right here. And I'm just going to quickly make a boat. I think it's best in this case, at least to start, to experience it on the river. So we're going to go ahead and boat around here. And it may be a little too far. Let me do this. Yeah, let's start here. So there's a big ocean area here, and then you kind of come in, and this is like the mouth of the river here where it dumps into the ocean. And so the first thing you're greeted by is right there. It is a custom-made watch post, and I have 3 of those on the river. And so this is the first one that you're greeted by here. It's very simple. I even built a recreation of this on the Terramira server you may have seen if you've watched those videos. But yeah, not too much going on here. Just kind of meant to be like a waypost, that kind of thing. Ability to get some good views out. So, and then coming along here, if you watched my 1.15 World Tour, you will recognize this build. This is a fishing hut that Corrales has a tutorial video on. It's getting a little on the older side now, but I built it block for block in this world and then recreated it in my 1.15 world as like part of the museum section. And so it's very simplistic, not too much going on. The most interesting thing I thought about this was I did just the most minor amount of terraforming back here, bringing the leaves down, adding lily pads, that kind of thing. I remember being really proud of this when I initially did it. It does not hold up anymore, but I don't think a whole lot will in this world. So we will jump back in the boat and head on down the rivers. Not too much further to go. We're going to be coming across on the right another watchtower right there. And it's the exact same as the other one. I also remember in a later version, and maybe I even have it here, maybe I don't. No, so in a later version I ended up clearing up this section and flattening it, and this was where I was doing a lot of practicing with redstone, and I distinctly remember like note blocks and stuff like that. I was messing around with a lot here because once you take out this water and flatten it out and clear it out just a bit, it's a nice open area where you can do quite a bit of testing. So, and then we have one final watchtower, a jack-o'-lantern, to, which one is this? You to remember Halloween 2017. Very fun. And then we finally show up to the main base. Now, you're looking at it right now and you're probably thinking to yourself, well, there's not a lot going on here. And to be honest, you're kind of right. There's not a whole lot. Like, if you're even just looking from this angle, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot going on. But there's more to it than meets the eye, and we'll obviously go over that. So this is my house. This was very heavily, and this whole base really, was really heavily inspired by Vintage Beef's, I want to say, Season 5 base on the Hermitcraft server. The one where he, Doc, and Etho were all in a jungle together. And this is what really inspired this base. We just have a very simple like starting room with a crafting table, the classic red bed, some furnaces, and a backup armor set. And then we come into here, and this is the main storage room. It's pretty small, but it's got everything you need. Got all like your wood and paper products in here. You have your kind of more precious items in here. Apparently I got 13 dragon heads, which is kind of impressive. I forgot about that. Mob drops section in here. Your kind of miscellaneous stuff here, backup shulkers, and then a bunch of firework rockets, which I actually need to grab some. So I will do that. Man, the amount of change from 1.12 to even 1.15 is just utterly insane. It's probably unrecognizable to 2012. Let's go to sleep real quick. And we come back in, so we did that, miscellaneous blocks here, armor and weapons and stuff in here, bunch of more miscellaneous blocks, and then food items in there, and then the classic ender chest, which is where I was storing all of my valuables. And you can see the old textures here are kind of crazy, really nostalgic in my opinion. I actually really like this diamond texture. I don't know how everyone else feels. Then I also, looks like even back then I was doing a utility box with backup food and all that stuff. And like all these name tags I just know were from AFK fishing. But it's interesting to see how things have changed in time. That is pretty much all there is with this base. I do remember at one point, yeah, it's right in through here. I had a slime block launcher and piston set up to where it would retract a block. I'd come down here, land on the slime block, and yeah, it's in through here. I was attempting to set up bulk storage for things, and I don't think even in later versions I ever utilized this. I think this was just one of those things I forgot about. Kind of sucks because there's a lot of redstone resources here that I'm thinking I completely just did not take care of, but you know, one of those things you live and you learn. This isn't the version I'm playing on anymore. Might as well just put those there. This is the beacon that you see. I've got haste 2 going on, I do believe. And it's just, oh wow. It's just kind of all by itself in through here. So, and then there's some blocks there that will make sense later on in the tour. Also looks like I had some sort of dropper elevator that was feeding into that. I wonder where that comes out at. I don't remember. But oh, it's here. You feed the items into there, it goes up into there, and then feeds it back and filters in through there. But yeah, like I said, even in the newer version, I don't think or in like the later versions of when I was playing on this world, I don't think I ever did anything with that. Path is made out of brown concrete powder. We've also got coarse dirt, which I think looks really nice. There's hidden lighting throughout this base. You can kind of see it here, like with glowstone behind leaves. That was one of the main ways I did it. You obviously also had some just regular lighting, but the hidden lighting extends out quite a ways. I do remember even, see some there. As you got further away from the base, it didn't matter whether or not it was hidden. But yeah, this whole area essentially is very spawn proof just because of how bad mobs can be in jungles with the spawn proofing and stuff. We also just have like a little river deck here. Do I have it here? Does not look like it. I do know at one point I set up a dispenser to dispense boats automatically. We also have a sunken boat there that I don't really remember, but yeah, there was like a boat dispenser somewhere around here. As we come across the path here, we enter a trifork. So we've got this first area here, which is a parrot pen. And I don't think any of these guys are named. Doesn't look like it, but they've just got a little pen there. They got their water, and they're safe from mobs pretty much, and will obviously warn me about certain mobs as they come up, if they ever come up. Down in here is a very cool enchanting cave. Also got a tabby cat here that won't look at me. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Enchanting cave here, and then I don't think there's anything back here, but there's a hidden ender chest there, and also, if I get out an ender pearl, if I ender pearl right in through that very small quarter block, you enter this very small hidden area. I heard the villager. I don't see the villager. I know at one point I had villagers in here. We've got lava and just kind of like a little hidden cave system. I think, though, somewhere in here, this is a backup world, so I just don't remember where they were. Oh, there's one. So there's the Silk Touch guy. I don't know why he's back here with no access. I do remember, though, that they got moved, and I remember putting villagers in that little hidden cave thing there. But there's that guy there. He's got Silk Touch. I do have some additional villagers that we will see, too, as we continue. As we continue up here, we just keep going through a path. Enter another fork. We'll go down here first. So we just have a couple of really small builds. We have this little thing here that didn't really do much. I do remember I put, I think, 1 or 2 cakes here eventually that kind of represented, I think it was my actual birthday, and it had signs on it, kind of like that jack-o'-lantern did. Here we just have another very small hut, very similar to the parrot hut, and this is the brewing hut. So we've got a bunch of speed potions, strength, a bunch of items to make additional potions as well. So we continue through, we just have a really small pond here. And then we have a mining tunnel. Now, I do remember distinctly in later uh, later on while I was playing this world that this was finished. But for now, what we can do is I just kind of want to show this. This was finished all the way down to the area where I did a whole bunch of underground mining, and we're going to come out to it right here. Yeah, I mined a lot of blocks under my base. You can see the torches and everything like that. This was a combination of wanting blocks and also looking for diamonds, redstone. So it was just a thing I did a lot, and there's still a whole bunch of blocks and stuff in here to represent that amount of time that I spent mining down here. And I think we came out here. Yep. Alright, can I activate the elytra? There we go. So yeah, this eventually was finished. It's very simple, but it's also a very large, eventually, mine tunnel, so you don't want it to be too complex. Come back over here. We'll climb up the hill. On the path again, we have my main nether portal here. We also have a small path to just a very cute little garden section here that I would, occasionally farm a little bit. And then down here, I really liked this. Again, this was taking heavy inspiration from Vintage Beef at the time, I admit it. He built this on Hermitcraft, and I copied it, I believe block for block, is this large meeting room. I've got wither skeleton skulls on a bunch of the armor stands. Not all of them, but some of them. And then a very, very large map here. So you can see that was the first tower we saw, then the fishing hut. You can kind of get a scale of where we're at now, and this is the main base area right in this area. So I really liked this. I think it still holds up personally. It's one of those things that maybe because I do have it block for block here, I may end up copying it into another world just because I really liked it. Now the path ends here, but there's 3 more things as we get over in this direction that I want to show you. There is one more additional tower here. If we throw a block though in here, the tower has an underground bunker access. Can I climb? So you just throw an item into this hopper, it detects that, opens up the block. Once you take it out, it retracts, and then there's the button to go back up, if I can click it. Wow, this is way more difficult than I remember. Yeah, there it is. Down here we have a few things going on. So we have some villagers. Got looks like a looting villager here. Yep, looting 3. Got a farmer villager. And this is the mending villager. And I don't remember how much he traded it for. 14 emeralds, that was a pretty good deal. Also have a bunch of chickens here. Getting cooked chicken and the like. And also a trash disposal here. So you just put in items. It's a trap chest, and then once you did that, it throws it down into a dispenser that's just dispensing it into lava. This build itself was also heavily inspired by another Hermitcraft member, their name being Mumbo Jumbo. He built this bunker. I modified it a little bit. Have a super smelter over here, and then a lot of storage here. Bunch of carrots, which will make sense later. Also have a bunch of gunpowder, bones, looks like sugarcane, more blocks, and then a bunch of shulker boxes with a bunch more carrots, and then a bunch of like elytra, books, ender pearls, redstone, that kind of thing down here. I don't remember doing too much different with this in later versions. I think I did something with this back wall, but I can't remember exactly what. But I also remember spending a bunch of time in there as well. Looks like the sun is getting low, so I'm going to go ahead and head back. because I don't have a bed on me. Need to go ahead and grab one. I'm going to go and go to sleep. We'll check out 2 more things at the main base and then go look at some more periphery buildings. Do I have a bed somewhere? Yep. Cyan bed, go figure. Some things don't change. Alright, so if we head east here, we will come across this build, which I thought was pretty well camouflaged, at least from the main base location. And this is a huge carrot farm. And this is like the old design where you had to have a farmer villager throw the carrots at another villager over there. Maybe we'll be able to see it. Oh, that trick doesn't work. Like I said, this is a backup world, so yeah, we come in here. So yeah, he'd step up, he'd throw carrots into there, and I think there's a villager up there, and so it would get taken into the water stream, collected by the hoppers, and then dispensed into that secret bunker that you saw earlier. Alright. So yeah, that was just a big build. It was getting me a lot of carrots. This was at the time where you could infinitely trade with villagers, so I was infinitely trading carrots, and yeah. There's a large lake here. I do remember later on I converted the entire bottom to sand. I don't think I did too much with it after that, but just kind of cleaned it up a little bit. And then over here, I didn't do anything with this either. This was just kind of one of those random projects that you could do when you get bored, as I'm sure other people know in Minecraft. But there was this natural cave here, and I just ended up cleaning it up and terraformed it a little bit. Don't think there's anything going on here. I think I was planning to do something. There's a little bit of mining, but I think I was planning on doing something like secret related here, but I don't remember ever really doing anything there. So that's the main base. Not too much going on. Didn't really get any major additions later on, but that's that. Over here we have a large mob farm. Again, this was by Mumbo Jumbo. Got the AFK platform up there. And this is only a double-decker one, but it served my needs plenty. You'd AFK overnight. All the mobs would... there'd be dispensers that would dispense water that would push mobs down. And then all the items would get collected in here. Now, it looks like I put trapdoors up there, so I ended up converting it to be just a straight-up creeper farm, which worked. But, you know, because you don't need... Once you get enough bones and stuff, you don't need any of the other items. And then another... I believe this was a... Yeah, another trash dispenser there. And we're off again to this area, which is another major build area. Now this was, again, you can kind of tell, so, you know, in the late 2010s, I was really inspired by Hermitcraft and Hermitcraft members. And so this fishing village is heavily inspired, probably almost a block for block recreation of one that Wells and I made in, I believe, his single player world. So each house almost has a purpose. This is like the main house here. You got chests and stuff. And you got the bedroom up top. Downstairs, this is going to be funny. I have a second AFK fisher. I don't remember what was going on here. Got a wall of tasks related to this build. But yeah, I had a second AFK fishery here. Again, looks like everything got taken out. But then all the items from that, and then there's also a dock out the back here. You needed light access to the water back then. But then all of the items from that AFK fishery and from other areas came into this very large warehouse build. So we've got a bunch of areas to store wood products, stone products. This is like the fish, AFK fishing stuff here. A bunch of random books. Also have grass, a bunch of mob drops, more precious materials, food items again, more diamonds and stuff like that. So this was a large storage area here that I would occasionally visit. Got some cows and a pen over here. Then in here is access to another mining area. I don't remember if I finished this one or not. Let's find out together. This is, you can see, taking again inspiration from the other one that I did back at my main base. But looks like, yeah, it looks like this one was completed. So got the strip mining, got a bunch of chests, nether portal. Yeah, a bunch of strip mining down there. So yeah, it looks like this one actually was finished. I mean, aside from the tunnel itself, but I've been thinking about, whether or not I would come back to this world or not to kind of finish some things up, polish them up, and I don't think so. I think I'm going to stick with the 1.15 world and playing on the Terra Mirror server. Have this area is just kind of meant to be, I think, yeah, it's like a brewery section again. But the main one I was using was back in my main base in that little shed I showed. There was going to be a statue here. What of? I don't remember. And then here's another build that I don't remember. I don't remember ever finishing this, and I don't remember what the plan was down here. I don't remember, but this was one of those things I did. Once again, is I really liked it when Wells built it, so I wanted to build it here. Got 2 more docks here. I think that's kind of supposed to be fish netting there, so yeah. Just a nice little build, and we're not too far from spawn, which is right there. I think there's only 2 or 3 things left to show. If we head over in this direction, there's actually maybe 4 things. Like, it's been a while since I've been on this world and looked at it, so over here, I remember building out this area. This went through like 3 or 4 different iterations. This is actually, I think, like the 2nd iteration. So you can see something was built over here that I ended up getting rid of and replaced it with this. It's just a random cobblestone house with an interesting path. I mean, there's not a whole lot going on in here. This ended up getting replaced, though, with like a little farm build that I had made. And I had like llamas there and that kind of thing. So I do remember that getting replaced later on. Over here, we continue our path. We're going to run into a snowy plains biome, as we see here. And once again, being heavily inspired by Mumbo Jumbo, I believe it was in 2016, 2017, he made like a winter wonderland, and I recreated that here. I believe that's still on his channel. So this is clearly still under construction. I think this works, though. The idea was that Santa would dispense randomization of either coal or diamonds, just like that. There's also supposed to be like a pop-up stand game here. Christmas tree that had lit up ornaments and that kind of thing. So this is just a fun thing to do and work on that, again, is incomplete in this version of the world. So you can also see there was a little bit of world corruption. We've got random chunks in areas that have snow that are missing where there obviously should be. Just one of those things that you kind of had to deal with back in the day when the game wasn't as refined as it is now. And that's part of the reason I chose to do 1.15.2, is by that point the game was significantly more stable. We're going to head back here, and the reason why is because I want to check out the nether. I know for a fact this was not complete, but regardless, we will check it out. Hopefully I can find my way around. Yeah, I remember I was trying to do the ice boat paths with glazed terracotta and that kind of thing. Definitely not the greatest, but you live and you learn. And yeah, it's significantly not complete. I think up there is where I would kill the wither. There's a area where the bedrock was perfect, so you could kill the wither. Then we head out here, and we should come across, yeah, this is where I was working on the nether hub area, because this takes you back to my main base. And then we've got areas for an end portal, which we think that's the last thing to check out. mesa was over there. So yeah, we'll head over here. And maybe we won't, because there's nothing here. I don't remember how to get there. Is there a way? So yeah, I remember this, nether, or yeah, this was, I would kill a lot of wither skeletons here. Is it over here? Doesn't really look like it. I know there's something over here. This tunnel leads to a project I'm not going to show. It was defunct a while ago and ripped up for materials and stuff, so there's nothing to show there. I don't know that I'm going to be able to find the end portal. I don't remember it all that well. Let's see if pushing it into spectator mode is going to help. Maybe, actually, I think. Maybe it is this. Might as well try it, because I don't remember what this goes to. Yeah, I have no idea. I don't think this is right. This is probably a woodland mansion, and I'd be wrong even on that account. I have no idea. That's odd. I don't even remember why this portal was here. Like why I made it even in the first place. I know that there... Let's go back this way. What is... That goes to the fishing village base, and the reason why is I know is because of the design I was doing there. But where the actual... I mean, the end portal, it was pointing this way. But I don't see a portal this direction. No, I don't remember. It's not that big of a deal. I was just going to see if I had done the Enderman farm that Ilmango built for this version, which I believe I did. I just don't remember it and can't really find it. But either way, a little less of a kind of formal tour. But I just wanted to, this is one of those things that I can look back on later and be like, I remember that world. I've got a few screenshots from this, but not too many. And like I said, this is not a complete, or when the world was at its peak or anything like that. Significantly less progress than on the newer version, but of the world, I mean. But either way, I hope you enjoyed. I do remember this view very fondly. I really like this, being on the bend of the river and all that. So I hope you all enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.